Okay, so when you're out vlogging, one of the things you don't want to be doing is keep thinking about settings and changing this and changing that. So the ideal thing would be to put the Action 6 into full auto mode. The problem when you put him in full auto mode is when he's left to his own devices, he likes to do weird things. Watch this. Right, Action 6, auto, full auto mode. So, how are you performing in the car, inside the car? Let's have a look at the back. I know what you're going to do, yeah. You're going to make it look bright, brighter than it is. But it's not as bright as you're making it look. What you're going to do to my face, I know what you're going to do to my face. You're going to make everything look mushy. Naughty boy. How's everything else looking? How's the inside of the car looking? And how is the outside of the car looking? Full auto mode. Oh, that's a bit windy. It's a bit cold out here. Oh, nice little sunset. Nice little sunset. Oh, about to get run over. Okay, end of test. Thank you. What did you notice that looked a little bit off in that video? Loads of noise. My face looking a little bit mushy. My face looking a little bit too bright. That HDR look. All of the above. Yeah, not good. Imagine there was a magic wand we could wave to get rid of all of that. Well, I don't have a wand, but I do have a button. A PRO button. Watch this. Okay, we're back. We're in PRO mode. And how are things looking inside the car now? If I've locked in the right settings, things should be looking a lot better. How's the back now looking? Obviously it's looking darker, but it is dark. Like, I don't want it to be boosted like you try to do it. How is the faces looking? How is everything else looking? Things should be looking a lot better. Alright, let's get out. That beautiful sunset over there. How are we looking outside? Oh, we've got guests. Oh, we have got guests. Guests in front. Anyway, yeah. Thanks, goodbye. Wow, oh wow. It's literally like we're watching footage that was shot on two different cameras, but we're not. We are not. Both clips were shot on the Action 6. So, let me show you how to set up the Action 6 correctly so your vlogs are a hit and don't look shit. Alright, so first things first, when you're on the preview screen, swipe down anywhere on the preview screen and go to your settings menu. Scroll down until you see bitrate and make sure this is set to high. Once it's set to high, you can literally press the on-off button on the side of the camera once and that will take you directly back to the preview screen. When you're back on the preview screen, instead of swiping down, this time we're going to swipe up anywhere on the preview screen, which takes us to our resolution, frame rates, etc, etc. So let's start by setting up the basics. Now, there'll be a couple of things in here that are personal preference things, I guess, which we'll come on to as well. We might as well, I was going to say we'll come on to them as we get to them. We might as well get to them now, which is the resolution and aspect ratio. So I'm going to put it out there and say for most people, 4K 16:9 is fine. Like, it's where you need to be, right? With the Action 6, obviously you have options. Those options are 8K and 1:1. But I personally don't think you need to be in 8K or 1:1 if you're not doing things that warrant you being in those modes just because they're there, if you see what I mean. So for 1:1, if you're going to be using the same video for YouTube and TikTok, Instagram, whatever, then yeah, shooting in 1:1, oh, the 1:1 will be beneficial for you. If not, then 16:9 is fine. If you are going to be doing like zooming in or punching into the shots, then yeah, shooting in 8K might be beneficial to you. If not, I don't think shooting the whole vlog in 8K is going to be beneficial to most people. It takes up a massive amount of space. It uses more battery. Not many people are even viewing these videos in 8K, once you publish them. So it's like, I don't know. I did a whole vlog, in 8K. I think I did a couple when the 8K was launched as the firmware thing. And yeah, I mean, I look at that, I'm like, okay, cool. But I just don't think that, what am I looking for? I think the cons outweigh the pros of it at the moment for most people. But like I said, it's a personal preference thing. So you might want to shoot in 8K 1x1. If that's the case, then do it. If not, for most people that are going out for the day, shooting like this, editing it and uploading it for YouTube, 4K 16:9 is fine. In terms of the frame rate, this is not a personal preference thing, but rather a location preference thing based on where you are around the earth. For me, I'm in London, so, well, it's not really a London thing, it's a UK thing. 25 frames per second is what I shoot in over here. So yeah, this is going to be based on where you are. It might be 30 frames per second where you are, but yeah, set it based on where you are around the earth. Let's go to the stabilization and field of view in the top right. 98% of the time I'm in natural wide. I really love the natural wide field of view. It's not too wide, but also not too distorty. So that's where pretty much most of the time I have the Action 6 in natural wide. With the stabilization, I'm in rock steady most of the time because I prefer the look in rock steady versus horizon balancing. Again, this might be a personal preference thing. I personally like it when I'm like walking and talking with the camera or then showing something where the camera kind of moves naturally as my hand moves. So it kind of moves a little bit to the left or to the right. When you're in horizon balancing, obviously that doesn't happen because everything stays level, which, yeah, there's no right or wrong because that looks great as well. But for the look I just like the movement being a bit more natural and free flowing rather than, yeah, always level. If I was doing like a cinematic B-roll thing where I was moving forward like that, I would move it, yeah, to horizon balancing to keep everything level. But on the whole, I would say 98% of the time, because I want that natural movement, I keep the stabilization in rock steady. All right, now it's time for the magic. And to get to the magic, we need to be in pro mode. So when you're on the preview screen, the two lines with like dots in, what are they, dials? Yeah, whatever it is, press on that and then you're taken to this menu. When you get to this menu, if the pro icon in the top right of the screen is like black and white, it means you need to press on it so it turns yellow. When it turns yellow, you are now in pro mode and the magic can now begin. So let's start from the top and work our way around, starting with exposure. When you get into exposure, make sure you set it to auto and not manual. The whole idea with most of this stuff that we're going to go through now is we're not locking things in like lock, but we're telling the Action 6 what we want it to do, but we don't want it to go above or below a certain thing. The whole idea is once we set all of this, we shouldn't then be out and about filming, vlogging, thinking that we have to go back into the settings to change certain things. We can leave the Action 6 in the background to do those things, but we've told it, look, mate, we do not want you to go below or above this. Let's start with the shutter speed. So when you've selected auto, you'll see in the top left, the shutter speed button appears. When you press on that, you're taken to various different ranges. The range that you need to select is 1/100 to 1/8000. The reason we are selecting this range is because at 1/100, most of those jitters that you get with an action camera are eliminated. You still get some, but most of them are eliminated. So we're telling the Action 6, do what you want between 1/100 and 1/8000 based on the scene, right? But whatever you do, do not go lower or slower than 1/100 because that's when the jitters are introduced. So once you've selected 1/100 to 1/8000, we're going to go across to the ISO, and the same concept is what we're going to do over here, right? We're going to tell it, do what you want between these two numbers, but don't go above. So rather than the shutter speed, we're saying don't go below, don't go too slow. We're now saying do not go above. And that range that we need to select is 100 to 1600. In all of the tests that I've done, and I always go through loads of tests before doing these settings videos and filming the videos and vlog, go back on my videos, you'll see there's loads of videos up to this point, right? because I want to be 100%. And it's usually these DJI cameras, like it's the same settings across the board, pretty much the same settings, but some things interestingly are slightly different in terms of the final look versus some of the other settings in the other cameras, right? I think anything above 1600 starts to introduce the noise and grain. In the 2 clips you saw of me in the car, you cannot deny, like, clip 1 versus 2, the amount of noise and grain that is visible in clip 1 versus clip 2, mate, come on. Like the seats, all the panels in the car, on my face, like under my forehead, because it's a dark area, there is so much noise and like weird shit happening, like grain all over the image. It was just not good at all. As soon as I locked in these settings, because what I'm going through now is what was locked in that video you saw, 100 to 1600, there's almost no noise or grain visible on the seats or the paneling. Under my forehead, it's a little bit more mushier than I would like, but it is a massive improvement, which is why I've come to the conclusion that 100 to 1600 is the max. Now you're probably thinking, what if it gets too dark? Can I go above 1600? Look, you can go above 1600 if you want, but just be aware that that's where noise and grain is introduced, which you might find fine. You might not mind that. Look, that's fine. Do your thing. I'm just saying, just to let you know, that is what I found in the test. For me, in my head, I'm like, if 1600 is too low, the shot has to go. You might want to go above it. But if you don't want the noise and grain and you want your shot to look like the second clip I showed you with me in the car, 100 to 1600 is where you want the range to be set. So once you've locked those 2 in, press the tick and that locks them both in. And now we're back to the menu screen, and next along is the white balance. So with the white balance, just keep it in auto white balance. No need to turn it to manual, because like I said, we're trying to find the balance of telling the camera what we want, but not having to keep going, changing things as we're out shooting. It does a really good job. One of the things it does really good on its own is handle the white balance really well. If you set it to manual, you're going to have to keep changing it every time the scene changes. So yeah, just keep it in auto white balance. Next along, we have color. Here we've got normal or D-Log M. I am going to put it out there and say I shoot all of my stuff on the Action 6 in D-Log M, even if I'm not planning on doing any grading. Why do I do that? Well, the reason I do that is because when you shoot in D-Log M, that HDR is no longer there. And that phase priority thing is no longer there either. Again, in clip 1 versus clip 2, you can clearly see the sky behind me in clip 1 is like doing some weird shit because of the HDR. In clip 2, because it was shot in D-Log M, the sky is not doing weird shit. And those clips are obviously shot like literally one after each other within like 30 seconds apart. So the sky didn't change at all. It's just obviously, yeah, the weird HDR look. And you can see the difference also in my face. My face is definitely brighter in clip 1, because I'm pretty sure there's some kind of face priority thing on. Anyway, so shooting in D-Log M literally turns both of those things off, which is why I shoot in D-Log M. And then apply the Rec 709 LUT, which sometimes you do have to do some tweaking, yes, here and there. But I'll be honest with you, there are times where I don't do any tweaking. And yeah, it's fine. So there you go. That's what I do in terms of the color. So if you don't want the HDR look or the face priority, shoot in D-Log M. When you are in D-Log M, quality priority is unavailable and film tones are unavailable, but that then takes us to our aperture. So here, I don't keep the aperture in auto. I either fix it to f4 or f2.8. The reason I don't keep it in auto is because I do like shooting in f4 with the Action 6. The issue is when you select the range, the auto range, like the aperture range, let's say f2.8 to f4, I have personally never seen f4 appear when it's in auto. Even when you shine a torch, like, it doesn't change. It just doesn't change. I walked outside the other day. It was sunny. I just did one last test before obviously shooting this video. I wanted to double check, even though it's never gone to f4 in auto before, and it didn't go to f4. It stayed at f2.8, which is where it likes to stay, which is why You have to tell it yourself when you want it to be in f4. So I don't put it in auto. So I'm either in f4 or f2.8. F4 when it's a bright situation, it's sunny outside, great, because it is perfect for vlogging because the minimum focus distance is like 20 centimeters, which is, you know, perfect when you're walking out like that. Details are more detailed. I just really love the look. The issue is obviously as it starts to get a little bit darker or low lighty, yeah, f4 is not bright enough, which is when I'll move it to f2.8. So yeah, that is what I set the aperture to. In terms of the stabilization scenario, I just leave that in daily. And then the image adjustments. Here we have texture and noise reduction. I keep the texture at -1 and the noise reduction, interestingly, I keep this at 0. With all the other DJI cameras, even the settings that I've kind of recommended to you guys before, it's been like -2. Turn that shit off. With Action 6, I've noticed an even further reduction in noise when you have noise reduction at 0 versus like -2, right? I was gonna say -3, it doesn't go to -3. I don't know why I thought that in my head, it's -2. But, don't get overexcited with this and think to yourself, oh, you know what? Let me change it to 1 instead of 0. Because when you change it to 1, sometimes the faces start to look a little bit weird and like processed, plasticky and mushy. So do not go above 0 is my recommendation. Play around with all of this. Hey, I'm not making this shit up. Play around with it. You'll see what I mean. So let me confirm. Texture -1 and noise reduction at 0. And that is that. Those are the settings I am locking in Mr. Action 6 if I'm going out and I'm doing a vlog. As you could see in the beginning of this video with clip 1 versus clip 2, auto versus pro, it makes so much difference being in pro mode, locking a few of the things in, versus being in auto mode. But it's funny because when you're in pro mode with some of the stuff I've gone through, like you're still essentially in auto mode. Like you're still letting him do certain things. You're just telling him, don't go below that, don't go above that, don't do that, turn off that. So with those settings I've gone through, it's not like you still have to keep going and changing things every time you move like a shot, because he's still essentially in auto, but behaving in auto, if that makes sense. Anyway, there you go. Go out and have some fun with it.